Hey guys, hopefully everyone is doing well. Today's target is to solve question number 13.26, chapter number 13, Leverage and Capital Structure, Managerial Finance by Lawrence Gitman. I would like to say that 13.26 is basically a very practical question, good practice for managers, and actually the size of this question is little abnormal, I should say. Is the size is little different. You can see that here your question is started and is going and going and going, and continuously we are needed to make several tables over here. So this is our last requirement. So you can see that a lot of tables are mentioned over here, and what we are needed to do, for example, this first table does have first column filled, second column filled, and third, fourth, fifth columns are vacant, blanks are given, and we are needed to fill those blanks in part A. And then when you will see your part B, again you have given four column schedule where first and third column is filled, and we are needed to fill the blanks of second and fourth. When you will see your C part, again first two columns are filled and third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth columns are vacant and we need to fill them. In D part, again same situation is given and two columns are filled and remaining two columns we are required to fill. And theoretical portion of E part. Look, the very first thing which I should tell you, it's not a difficult question. We are just needed to be very cool and calm for calculations only. Brain work is very less. Just to fill the columns, we need to have a proper calculation, and the sequence is required. Eye portion or the uh, eye attentiveness is more important instead of brain attentiveness. So let's start question number 13.26, and here you can read it. Board of Director of this organization has commissioned capital structure study. The company has total asset 40 million. It means it's a total capital structure. Earning before interest and tax is 8 million and is taxed at the rate of 40%. All right. Create a spreadsheet like 13.10. We don't know what is 13.10, but we will follow this. Showing values of debt and equity as well as the total number of shares, assuming book value of shares 25. So why I have said we will, since this whole statement has been given over here, we don't need to see 13.10. We will follow this table, and same table would be present in 13.10. The first thing which you will do is to follow this table, and obviously we'll have to write it down. Over here we are starting A part, where these would be used for our headings, and let's wrap it up so that each heading comes in single block. Let's start. First is percentage debt, and look, this is the only thing which we are doing over here. I told you that no brain work would be present, and we are going to just write down everything according to table format, and that is why it may take some time. Wrap it up. First heading was percentage debt, and it is starting from 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 up to 60. So first was 0, then 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, 50, and 60. Look, I can do it with the help of Excel, but whatever you are performing on your copy, we will be doing the same thing just like over here. So it is important to know that with Excel this question can be solved within few seconds, but instead of that we will be doing it manually so that you can understand what you will do. on your paper when you are doing by hand. Obviously, Excel is not allowed or permitted in papers, so we are performing it manually. The second heading is total asset 40 million. So here total assets are mentioned and we need to put 40 million. So 40, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 40 million is set, and this we can do by taking help from Excel because all amounts written over here were 40 million. So we have done. Then we need to see how much debt is present. Next, we need to put part of equity in dollars. So equity would be written over here, but in terms of dollar we need to put. Then next heading is your number of shares. So here you will calculate your number of shares, and I had wrapped them up but not working. Let's wrap it up again. No, it's not working. Let's do individually if it can be done. No, it's not working. Alright, let's make little more space if it can show it. That amount is also needed to be put in terms of dollars. Okay, it's now our turn. We have taken all headings from the book and we needed to calculate right now. Obviously, you will see over here debt ratio is given in first column. Total capital structure is also given, and that is 1, 2, 3, 1, 40 million total assets, and we need to make our debt. Debt ratio is given over here. So simply what you will do, total capital structure multiply by this percentage and divided by 100. So you will got your debt. And why it is 0? Because among total asset or capital structure we do have only 0% debt. In the same way you will calculate your second debt, amount of capital structure multiply by 10 and divided by 100. We have got our debt amount is 4 million. Yes, 4 million. And then similarly you will calculate amount of debt 20%. So we have got 8 million. For third part, 40 million was total capital structure. We need to make 30%. So we have got 12 million, and next 40 million was total capital structure and 40% is amount of debt 16 million. And then we have for next part 40 million total asset, amount of debt is 50%, 20 million, and finally capital structure 40 million and amount of debt is 60%. So we have got our total debt structure presented over here. Last amount is 24 million. And here how you will calculate equity? Obviously total capital structure you will take, and when you will subtract your debt you will get your equity. So in this way equity in dollars would be calculated. We have written our formula. Unfortunately this formula is not visible over here, and we are actually willing to make it visible, though we have wrapped it up, but it's not working right now. No. Okay, let's take another chance. we can merge in this way if it works. Little bit, but not exactly what I wanted to do it. Okay, it had worked, and now we can use this same procedure over here. Just to make it presentable form, we are taking the same thing, and it was important because we have to write the formula as well. So that is why it is necessary to do these headings in this way. And finally, the number of shares we need to make it. And here we will write how to calculate your number of shares. Okay, just wait for a moment and we will first calculate our equity. Please read it down. Total capital structure minus debt. This is your total capital structure or total assets or total capital structure. As you know that total liability side would always be equal to total asset side. So when total assets are 40 million, so we will understand that total capital structure would also be 40 million. If within this 40 million capital structure, if there is no debt, it means whole capital would be financed through equity. Equity financing, we have understood that the amount which is arranged within internal resources. So out of this 40 million, nothing was taken as debt. So complete 40 million would be considered as equity in the same manner. In second, 40 million total capital, while 4 million was debt, remaining 36 million would be considered as your capital. 40 million total, 8 million debt, then 32 million would be your equity. 40 million total, 12 million debt, 28 million would be your equity. 40 million and 16 million, 24 million equity, 40 million total, 20 million debt, remaining amount would be your equity. 40 million total, 24 million debt, we have got 16 million as our equity. So in this way, you have calculated your equity. Now number of shares, how you will calculate? For this, we can understand over here, whenever you will calculate your capital, how would you calculate? Number of shares would be taken and these would be multiplied by per share price. Okay, look over here, number of shares are being multiplied with it. When you want to take it to the other side of is equal to, sign would be changed. Here is multiply. When you will take it to the opposite side, it would be divided. So what we will get? Capital. And now what we are going to do, taking these number of shares to the opposite side. So these would be divided number of shares and what we will get? Per share price. Have you understood that? In the similar way, if you want to calculate your number of shares, per share price is being multiplied over here, you want to take it to the opposite side. Capital is already present on the opposite side and you are taking per share price to the opposite side. Here it is being multiplied. When side would be changed, it would be divided. So per share price would be written as as being divided. And what would left on right side of is equal to, we will have number of shares. So guys, this is what we needed. We want to calculate number of shares, and for which what you will do, capital would be divided by per share price. So capital structure would be divided by per share price, and this was mentioned in question that per share price is 25. Okay, let's go back to the question. I will let you know. Look over here at the rate of 25. This was mentioned in question. So our work has become very easy. This is your capital structure 40 million and you need to divide it with 25. We will get 16 lakh number of shares. First we have calculated. Secondly, 40 million would be divided by 25. Again we have our number of shares, and actually these number of shares would remain same for capital structure. So instead of doing this, we can write it as well. One more thing, instead of, okay, let me done first. In case if you will calculate number of share according to this total capital structure, you will have it. But beside this, you will calculate your number of shares if we have some debt. In case of debt, you will be looking for your equity only because number of shares are associated with equity. So for this, you can see that our equity was 40 million divided with 25. First number of shares would be as similar as we have put over here, and then for second your equity was changed 36 million and it would be divided by 25. We have got our second number of shares, and then we have 32 million divided by 25. So we have got 12 lakh 80,000 shares, and then equity was 28 million divided by 25. Next was your capital structure 24 million divided by 25. Next was 20 lakh divided by 25. And finally we have 16 million equity. It would be divided by per unit price of 25, with which number of shares would be calculated as 6,40,000. So our A part has been completed because the performa which was required, and here only number of shares were required. So this part was written just for your information, and you may delete it as it was not required by the question. So whole column can be used over here. So simply I have just seen that number of shares were needed only at the rate of 25 based on equity. So in this way your first part has been completed. So let's mark it as it has been done. First part ended, and now we are going to see what our B part is saying. Let it be over here. What is this behavior? Okay, why it is coming again and again? Okay, let's see. Now it is working. Some time it happens. B part, let's go back. B part is saying given before tax cost of debt various levels, calculate yearly interest expense. So this table is needed to be made. First is percentage debt and total debt. A little help we can take from the previous work. Look, this debt percentage is same, so you can take this heading for next part. Let's go back, and next is total debt. As you can see that total debt was already calculated, so we do not need to calculate it again. We can put it over here. So total, oh god, we'll have to copy in different ways. Let's see if pay special is present in this performer. Let's see if it is. Okay, we have got our values. So second column is already filled. This was your B part, and total debt has automatically been calculated. These blanks are filled because in previous part we have calculated total debt and before tax cost of debt. This is our next heading, before cost of debt. Let's make it before cost of debt, and that is mentioned over here. It's little I mean blurry, very small size, but it's visible, at least visible. So first cost of debt before tax cost of debt is 0%. Before tax, actually it is the heading is before tax cost of debt. First is 0%. All right. And next heading is 7.589. 7.589, and then we have 11, 12, 15. Let's write it down. 11, 12, 15.5, I think, and 12.5. Let's see it again if it is the same. 12.5 and 15.5. Okay. So we have written our amounts. Cost of debt is present at first column, and we need to calculate our amount of interest, and this is not difficult. Why? Because here amount of interest can be calculated by taking debt, multiply it with cost. Percentage before tax cost of debt percentage is mentioned here, and debt is present over here. So simply we will be calculating this percentage on debt. Since first percentage is 0, so cost of debt would remain 0. So here your debt was 40, that was 4 unit and 100,000, 4 million, and you need to calculate 7.5%. So multiply it with 7.5, divide it with 100. So we have got our first interest as 3 lakh. In the similar way, second 8 million debt, and you need to calculate 8%, which is mentioned over here. Second amount of interest 6,40,000 calculated. Again 12 million was amount of debt, and you need to calculate 9%. So multiply by 9 divided by 100. Amount of interest is being calculated. Then we have our third case where 16 million was the debt, and you need to calculate 11%. So multiply by 11 divided by 100. In next case, 20 million was amount of debt. We need to calculate 12.5%. So you will multiply 12.5 and divide it with 100. And then finally we have 24 million debt, and you need to multiply it with 15.5 divided by 100. So we have filled the second column as well. Second part, blank column has been filled. Look, these were two columns which were needed to be filled, but surprisingly or happily the first column was already filled. We have taken amounts from the previous part, and in above part what columns were needed to be put? Last three. So in this way, all these columns were calculated and made by ourselves. So let's mark them. Okay, why we are marking it? Because these columns were blank and we have filled them. In this way, our B part has been completed. So let's mark them as it has been done. This was your first part, and let's fill it with a little different way. And now you will be posting, you have completed your B part. Let's mark it as it has been done, and let's see what our C part saying to us. Go back. This was your B part we have solved, and now we have our 6C part, and where there are so many columns present: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. It's all right. Let's start. We have first column with percentage debt, and luckily this percentage of debt is already present. We are copying it, putting over here. Okay, and since this heading would be used for all of our columns, let's make these headings first. Now second column, let's see, second column is your interest expenses. Write down interest expenses. Then we have our third column, and that is earning before tax. Let's write down earning before tax, and it would be called EBT, earning before tax. Okay, this is our third column. Then we have taxes and net income. Taxes would be calculated, and earning after tax would be calculated over here, earning after tax. And this is actually earning after interest but before tax. So why not we should mention it, earning after interest and before tax. And this is after interest and after tax. All right, so this was our net earning, and now number of shares and EPS would also be required. Earning per share is equal to EPS, and second last column is number of shares. Number of shares would be written over here. So this was the performa which was required in our question, and you can see that only first two columns are filled, remaining all columns are required to be filled. So here percentage of debt, okay, one more column was needed. Let's take this debt. Whole of these amounts can be taken easily, and here we are needed to put equity, and this was given, no, EBIT is given, earning before interest and tax, and it is donated as EBIT, earning before interest and tax. So let's make this column little more so that we can have it. And secondly, this also needs some space. So guys, we have completed our headings. Let's see, first column is saying 8 million is your EBIT. 8 million EBIT, and since it is same for all stages, so we have 8 million are earning before interest and tax. Interest expenses perhaps we have calculated. Yes, this amount of interest is already been calculated. First is 0, then we have 3 lakh, 6 lakh 40,000. So what we can do, since this interest amount has already been calculated and you can see this working as well, this was your debt and you have calculated 7.5% and have got your amount of interest. Right now, instead of calculating it, we can use these headings over here. All amounts can be posted directly. Only amounts are needed. Let's go back and use these headings for it's not coming. So again we'll have to paste them little different way. So guys, we have our amounts automatically, we have picked them. Earning before tax was given in your question and we need to put interest expenses, and what I have said in part B, you have already calculated this interest by taking percentage was given in your question. It's not yellow, it means it was present in question. So that 4 million was calculated in part A. This was your debt section and you have taken same amounts over here and then you applied the percentage given in the question. So amount of interest on debt was calculated in this way, and from here you have imported these interest expenses from previous part to here. Now we will calculate our earning after interest or before tax. For this you may have your EBIT and then you will subtract interest to calculate earning after interest but before tax. So to calculate it, we need our earning before interest and tax 8 lakh. Just subtract this amount of interest. Since first amount was 0, so we'll have the same amount of net earning before interest, earning before tax, and after interest. This is earning after interest before tax. So first earning is your 8 million, and then let's calculate second. 8 million was amount of EBIT. You will subtract your amount of interest. So earning after interest is calculated 7 million 70 lakh. And then for third part, 8 million was EBIT, amount of interest 6 lakh 40,000. We have got our earning after tax. Next, we have 8 million amount of EBIT, subtract tax. So we have got earning after tax. To calculate next earning after tax, we need earning before tax and then subtract amount of interest. Sorry, it is earning after interest. So we have, when there are so many amounts, sometimes it happens. So we are calculating earning after interest. This is earning before interest. You will earning before interest, you will subtract amount of interest to get your earning after interest. Similarly, for last portion, 8 million was total amount before interest, and then you will subtract your amount of interest to get earning after interest. So please note it down. This is earning after interest by subtracting interest from previous earning. So we have subtracted all amounts of interest from all amounts of earning. We have got earning after interest amount. Now this amount would be used to calculate our tax. and usually rate of tax would always be 40%, and it is mentioned over here 40% tax rate. So here you will calculate tax by taking EBT and multiply it with 40%. You will get your amount of tax. This is EBT, and you will multiply it with 40 divided 100. You have got amount of tax, which is 32 lakh. And then again, this was your before tax income, and you will calculate 40%, and this would be your tax amount of earning before tax multiplied by 40 divided by 100. Look for how many times you will see it. For 6-7 times when you will see, obviously you will understand it in a better way. I can copy this formula and can paste. Please understand it. But instead of doing it, I am doing it manually. Amount of earning before tax multiply by 40 divided by 100. You have got amount of tax, which is 24,96,000. For second last, income multiply by 40 divided by 100. We have got our earning after tax, and then finally we were having 42 lakh 80,000 amount of earning before tax. Apply 40% rate to calculate the amount of tax. So our column has been filled, and now we need to calculate earning after interest and after tax. This is your earning before tax, and these are taxes. To calculate earning after tax, you will simply subtract taxes from EBIT. Why not we should try it if it can be filled. What we need, EBT, and just subtract taxes from it. No, it's not visible. So let's try if it can wrapped. Normally it was not been done. No, in both cases it's not working right now. My Excel is little ill. Simply understand that earning after interest or before tax, this is your income. You will simply subtract amount of taxes. So we will get earning after interest and after tax. Amount of earning before tax was 8 million. You will subtract amount of taxes. We have got earning after tax. Again listen, earning before tax, subtract amount of taxes, you will get earning after tax 46 lakh 20,000. Earning before tax minus tax, you will get earning after tax 44 lakh 16,000. 44 lakh 16,000. Next, earning minus amount of tax, you have got your earning after tax 41 lakh 52,000. Next, earning before tax minus tax, we have got earning after tax, and same you are doing for second last, and for last, earning before tax subtract amount of tax, you have got 25 lakh 68,000. This is your earning after interest and after tax. Then we need to have number of shares. These number of shares we have already calculated. Let's go back. Okay, now you can see that in part A you have calculated number of shares. Okay, so these number of shares we have seen, capital was divided by per share. This was your equity or capital, and this was divided by per share price 25. So here you can see that how you have calculated it. This was your equity, it was divided by 25, and you have got your number of shares. So instead of calculating them again, we are taking these headings and can use it over here. So automatically we have got our number of share, which was previously calculated in part A. Now earning per share, EPS, how that would be calculated. For this you need your net earning, and this would be divided by number of shares. Please read it down what we want to do. Net earning is this earning after interest and after tax. It would be divided by number of shares. Number of shares are present over here. So what we are going to do, earning after interest after tax or net earning 48 lakh, and it would be divided by number of shares. You will get your earning per share. Let me see what we have written. Earning per share, and simple is this, we need to divide number of shares. No, it's not the same number of shares we have calculated over here. Look, here were 16 lakh and what pasted is 1,92,000. So again we'll have to copy them in different way. Number of shares here, and then we will paste them in a different way. So this way, yes, we have got number of shares. Look over here, number of shares were calculated. I'm just repeating for you. Over here, this was your capital structure. 25 was given in your book. Total capital structure was divided by per unit price, and this was mentioned over here. You have got your number of shares, and these number of shares were taken as it is. Okay, so first earning per share we have calculated, that is 3, and then how we are calculating earning per share? Total earning, net earning divided by number of shares. So we have got our second EPS 3.2. What we are doing, this is your net earning divided by number of shares. You will get EPS or earning per share. And this was also discussed over here. Look, per share price. Capital was divided by number of share. In the similar way, we can calculate earning per share. Same method has been used. This was your earning. When you will divide it with number of shares, you can get your EPS or earning per share, and that was already discussed several times before. How we are calculating it? Total earning, that was 44 lakh 16,000, and it would be divided by number of shares. These are number of shares 12 lakh 80,000. In this way we have got our third EPS, net earning divided by number of shares, so 3.7. And for next part, earning divided by number of shares. For second last part, 33 lakh total earning and 8 lakh number of shares. We have got earning per share 4.125, and then finally we have total earning 25 lakh 68,000 divided by number of shares. So we have got 4.0125 or 4.01. So in this way, this calculation has also been completed. All these columns were not present in our question. So let's mark them as it has been done. So we have marked it. So kindly note it down. These statements are completed. So I'm just willing to make it more visible. Let's try it that our formula can be visible over here. And if we are taking more space, I'm hopeful. No, it's not visible yet. Okay, one more step what we can do to make better space. Oh good, now formula is visible. So let's make more space for it. No, yes, so we have got our spaces. How many columns? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns were vacant. And in our question, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns were vacant, and we have completed it. So part C has also been completed, and we will now be looking for our part D, where there are two columns are filled and remaining two columns we are responsible to make using EPS developed in C. So it means EPS we can copy, required rate return is present, and we can calculate share price. So this is little easy. Let's get back and mark our previous part as it has been done. Okay, so marking it, and now we are looking forward for our next part. This was C, and now we will be looking for D part. D part contains four columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, and these four columns, first column is debt percentage, and you can hire this heading from previous part. This is debt percentage, and same percentage would be used for D part as mentioned in question, and this part would also be used for 1, 2, 3, 4. Four columns are needed. Let's see what second column is saying. We need to write EPS, earning per share. Earning per share is needed, and that is EPS. And please note it down, earning per share has already been calculated. This was your column where you have calculated earning per share. This is already been calculated, and we will use same earning per share over here. Okay, let's go and see what next column is saying. Required rate of return. It is given required rate of return, and that is denoted with small r. This would be given in the question. And finally, the fourth column is saying share price. Share price, it is denoted with small p. Okay, come and earning per share, first column. And what I was saying, look over here, in previous part we have already calculated earning per share. How? This income was divided by number of shares with which you have calculated EPS, and these numbers are important. We are now taking them and using these to fill our next part. So values same have been taken, earning per share over here. Required rate of return is given in question, and that's the difficult part of picking this rate. 10, 10.3, 10.9, 10, 10.3, 10.9. Okay, so we have next 11, 12.6. This is 11, 12.6, and then we have 14.8 and 17.5. 14.8 and 17.5. So we are not doing anything with it, only this column was needed to be filled, which we had already solved. And what we have done, taken those amounts from previous column. This was the column for EPS, and we have taken all these heading as it is over here. So no effort was put to calculate, just copied previous amounts and you are required to return over here. This required rate of return is given in your book, and now you can calculate your price. For that you will see EPS, and then you will divide it with the required rate of return. EPS would be divided by required rate of return. This is your EPS and this is required rate of return. What you will do, EPS 3 divided by required rate of return is 10%. Keep it in mind. So when you will divide it with 10, then percentage is needed. So we'll have to make another column so that you can understand what we are going to do. Here we will write percentage. Percentage would be calculated by percent divided by 100. It's simple thing. This is 10 and when you want to calculate percentage you will divide it with 100. So what we will get 0.1. In the similar way you will be doing it same, and I am taking copy. So understood what I have done? Everything would be divided by 100. This is your required rate of return in terms of, this rate was given in terms of percentage, and this percentage is divided by 100. All of these amounts are divided by 100. So we have got our percentage, and now we can put it on our formula. EPS was 3, it would be divided by this percentage 0.1, and we have got our share price. First share price 30. Look what we are doing. This is your EPS and you need to divide it with required rate of return, and you will get your EPS 31.14. Okay, listen, I am using all the decimals present over here and all decimals present over here, with which there might be a little different in calculations when you will see it anywhere else, because I'm not rounding it off. So all 8 decimals are being used to calculate amounts. So accurate answer would be this. If you will see any answer different from here, just neglect it. Follow these solutions. Required, okay, EPS is 3.45 and you need to divide it with your percentage 10.9%. So we have got our next EPS. To calculate it once more, see, this is your EPS. You need to divide it with percentage required rate of return. We have got 32.5, and for next we have EPS 3.9. You need to divide it with percentage 12.6. So we have 30.95 as our share price. To calculate share price, again earning per share 4, and you need to divide percentage 0.148. We have got 27.8, or 27.9 can also be called. Then finally we have earning per share 4 divided by required rate of return 17.5. So 22.9192 has been calculated. So these parts, 2 columns were needed to be filled. So let's mark it as well. And now as you can see, this was your D part where 2 columns were needed to be filled, and we have filled 2 columns, first and last. Okay, after D part, if we have anything else, yes, we have E part. Prepare a recommendation to the board of directors corporation that specifies the degree of indebtedness that will accomplish the firm's goal for shareholders. Well, use your finding in part A through D to justify your recommendations. Alright, it's very clear. When you will see your different parts, like in first part what you have calculated, number of shares, capital structure. In B part you have calculated your cost of debt. In C part you have calculated your earning per share. So this earning per share is important, with which you can recommend your calculations. So here earning per share 3 to 3.2 to 3.45, 3.7, 3.9, 4.125, 4.0125. Just look over here. At this stage, what you are looking, your EPS has dropped. Earning per share has been dropped from 4.12 to 4.0. So optimized stage is this, where you're 50% in that. So at 50% of that, you can get your maximum EPS. Just note it down. And since your part was completed, let's mark it as it has been completed. Then we will start our next part so that it could be distincted. A distinction is needed. This word is more important. E part we are solving, and we have concluded that at 50% debt, we have maximum earning per share, and that was 4.13. Let's go back to the question and see again. This was your earning per share. Please note it down. From 3 to 4.1, continuously increasing. But after that, your earning per share has been dropped. So it means at 50% of that, you can have your maximum EPS. Have maximum EPS 4.13. At 50%, that's our recommendation not to take debt more than 50%. And after that, look over here. Again, you have 31, 31, 32. But after 32, look over here. Your share price has been dropped. Again listen, 30, 31, 31, 32, increasing continuously. But after 32, your share price has been dropped from 32 to 30. It means at 30% debt, at 30% debt, we have maximum share price. Maximum share price was 32.5. So in this way, we will recommend that do not take debt more than 30% if we are following share price. And if we are following EPS, we have recommended that do not take debt more than 50%. So in this way, we have completed our statement regarding part E. Two requirements were asked and two requirements have made. Please note it down. If we will follow or will be conscious for EPS, for that we should not take debt more than 50%. But if we are following share price in the market, we can take a loan up to 30%. But more than 30% debt would make it unfavorable for the organization. We have seen 31, 31, 32 continuously increasing at 30% debt ratio. But after 30% debt equity ratio, share price has been dropped. So in this way, E part has also been solved, and let's mark it as it has been done. And I think all parts of the questions has been solved. This is E, B, C, and B part and A part. And we do have only E part. So it means everything has been sorted out. In first part, what we have calculated total debt according to debt ratio, and then we have seen what is equity, how we had calculated? By subtracting this debt from total capital structure. Equity was calculated, number of shares. Equity was divided by 25, which was given in your question. In this way, three columns were calculated. Then in second column, we had calculated interest. It was very easy. Debt we have already calculated, and this percentage was applied. And in next part, we had followed our income statement. And usually what we do, very first thing we write EBIT, and then we subtract our amount of interest, after which we subtract tax, and we subtract preferred dividend. This way we get our net income. In this way we have done the same thing. EBIT, EBIT. Then this interest was calculated and subtracted. We have got earning after tax. And then tax was calculated and subtracted. We have got next income. So in this way this earning was calculated. Please note it down. EBIT was given in question. Interest was calculated from previous part. This was amount of interest. Same interest was put over here. Amounts you can see 3 lakh, 3 lakh, 6 lakh 40, 6 lakh 40. And this income was calculated by subtracting this interest from EBIT. Tax was calculated upon this income. Income after interest. 40% calculated, and then we have calculated earning after tax by subtracting this tax from previous income. Number of shares were already calculated in first part. Look over here. Number of shares were calculated by dividing equity with 25, and we have copied these number of shares over here. EPS was calculated by dividing this earning after interest after tax by number of shares. So in this way your earning per share was also calculated. D part was simple. Debt was present over here. EPS was calculated over here. I have just told you how your net earning was divided by number of shares. In this way this was copied. Percentage required rate of return was given in your question, and you have applied this percentage upon EPS. So EPS was divided by required rate of return, with which you have calculated your share price. And we have mentioned it very clearly. Discussion was made why we should not take more than 50% of debt, because earning per share after 50% was dropped. And why we should not take debt more than 30%, because after that share price was dropped. So in this way our A to E parts are solved. Question 13.26 is comprehensively solved, and I usually share with you. This is absolutely live lecture. No break was given, no interruption, no editing. Everything was live, and you have seen that all calculations were made thankfully in the proper manner, and you are needed to learn in the same way. Here it is a request. If you want to create skill, if you want to be a skillful manager or student, you are requested to repeat everything you are learning. In learning stage, don't be hesitant to repeat. Repeat everything for 3 to 4 times, with which I'm very hopeful, or rather I'm sure that your this learning process will help you how to get strong and comprehensive memory for your calculation in your mind. 13.26 is completed. Though solution is in front of you, everything has been solved, answers are verified, but even then I am offering you, if you have any difficulty in understanding, you are very open to ask your question through messages, text, or you can directly meet for your queries. I will be available to answer your queries instantly, inshallah. So 13.26 is completed. Hopefully we are looking each other again for the solution of any other question in future. Up till then, please take care of yourself, and I'm requesting you to please pray for me as well. Thank you very much for your time. It's time to say goodbye. Allah Hafiz.